I left Kenya when I was 11 years old. I am Kenyan, but it's very important for me to get to know my country again. Spending time in the slums, visiting IDP camps. What would happen if we gave children from these marginalized communities a real opportunity? They have so little and yet are so joyous. This is a long-term project for me. This is what I was born to do, and this is what I'm going to do until I breathe my last breath. I was born here in Nairobi, and for the first part of my life I went to school here, not too far away in an area called Westlands. It was a very different school of its time, so it was in the 70s, and we had kids of all different intellectual abilities, kids of all different nationalities, children of all different social backgrounds, and also children who were both physically challenged and emotionally, mentally challenged, but we were all together. We didn't know that we were different, so I always say that that was a big starting point for me. Just growing up in this melting pot and going to school every day in this melting pot of lots of different people. It wasn't until I left that school that I realized how different that was. You know, that was my norm. Around age 14, I had known a young man called Dan Eldon. He became my first love, my first boyfriend, really looked up to him. He was this photographer who would explore and led a very exciting life and did lots of different things. I remember the one thing that he always told me, he always said to me, you know, it's really important to question what you're doing and question who you are. I didn't quite understand that, but I just thought, okay. He also opened my eyes to different types of people. You know, for the first time I spoke to people who were homeless. I visited parts of town that I'd never even knew existed. So when he passed away, I really remember making a conscious decision to myself that I would try and live my life with that ethos and live my life with that spirit. He was an important influence in my life and still is to this day. People would ask me, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I would say, I want to be a lawyer. You know, I want to be a lawyer. That was my goal. That's what I wanted to do. So that was my path, and you know, for a very long time, and you know, I worked hard. I went to university, went to law school. For me, wanting to be a lawyer was very much about wanting to help people. To be working for a firm that is in the top 5 corporate law firms in Europe was just phenomenal.
The violence in Kenya's Rift Valley region is spreading quite fast. This is Naivasha, about 100 kilometers west of Nairobi.
I was sitting at my desk in London, starting to watch everything unfold in Kenya.
Houses continue to be torched as armed youth...
I remember seeing these photographs and seeing these pictures of houses burning, people of different tribes killing each other. For me, this did not compute. The Kenya that I knew, the Kenyans that I knew, this just did not fit together. And I remember sitting and just saying to myself, I don't understand, why is nobody doing something? You know, someone must do something, someone has to do something to stop this from happening. In that moment of saying, why isn't somebody doing something, I then asked myself the question of, why aren't you doing anything? I had 2 paths in front of me, you know, stay where I am, working as a lawyer, or I could stop that and come back to Kenya and work in Kenya and devote my life and my work to Kenya. I knew in that moment what my path was, and I knew what I needed to do, and that was to head home. Originally, I thought I was going to be doing peace and reconciliation activities, but the more time I spent in Mathare, the more I saw these little kids running around. I started asking questions. I said, you know, why are these just bands of children running around unsupervised? And I ended up choosing Mathare because of the people that I met. I met this group of people who were community activists working in Mathare, one of whom was Edra.
My name is Endra Vada, and I've lived here for the last 19 years.
Edra, in fact, had started this little daycare center.
I found that there are so many kids who are left outside their doorsteps by their parents. These kids were in the danger of being defiled. So I started the center 5 years ago as a way of bringing the kids together, taking care of them so the kids could be in the room and they could be safe.
EDRA was trying to protect these kids who would ordinarily be on the streets. So I met her and I spent time with her and I spent time with the children that she was working with, and we talked. And I just said, EDRA, how about if we look at ways in which to set up a model school system which can then be used as a model and then replicated nationally. She is a woman that I call my hero, definitely my inspiration. And I was really fascinated by her. She is very tapped into the community. She's lived there for almost 20 years.
Kama ungemtakia awe nini, awe aje?
Mimi kama mama ningekuwa kama pilot.
It is critical to reach children at an early enough stage before their life takes a different turn.
I regret dropping out to school because I find I engaged myself into drugs, stealing, and that is not our future. If I go back to school, I achieve more.
We're feeding them porridge and we're feeding them their lunch. What really gets to me is that, this is probably, for some of these kids, the first time in their lives that they're going to have 2 meals a day.
It is a bit difficult for Abigail to be fed well during lunch hour, but at least for now, she'll be confident that the child is getting food.
Yeah, feeding the children will be a major thing even in the lives of the kids, and I'm very sure that their health will drastically change due to the feeding program.
Wouldn't it be wonderful to have a Centre for Excellence in this field, based in Kenya, servicing people, in these communities? We have an opportunity to actually prove our work and actually to change and affect policy. So at the moment what we're doing is raising money for the 5-year plan, and once that has happened, we've got other projects in place to become more sustainable and to continue that way.
We live as a community or as a family. Yeah, so I love that very much.
I feel very emotional. I feel very emotional every time I walk into Mathare and I spend time with the kids. I feel gratitude for what I have, gratitude that I'm able to do the work that I do, gratitude that I'm able to share. We the Change isn't just about raising awareness internationally, it's very much about also explaining and saying to some Kenyans, this is what's happening. I really believe that this is the work that I was put on this earth to do. I really 100% believe that. So, this is my purpose, and this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Our aim is just to give a Mathare child education, a chance, just to have the best education and see how far they can go.